I loved the first season of House of the Dragon. It proved that the early seasons of Game of Thrones were no fluke. When sticking to George R.R. Martin's source material, writers can expand upon the story and world in rich ways. I have not read Fire and Blood, for which this show is based on, but when you compare House of the Dragon Season 1 to the later seasons of Game of Thrones, it is like night and day. And when you look at the viewership numbers and reviewer scores, I think it is safe to say that this show has rescued the legacy of the franchise, post the disappointing final season of GOT. Yes, this show doesn't reach the heights of the first 4 seasons of GOT, but aside from the jarring time jumps, I found Season 1 to be full of fantastic layered characters and conflicts, showing potential to get even better as the show goes on. So, almost 2 years later, we get the first episode of Season 2, titled A Son for a Son, and I think it continues to excel in all the ways that Season 1 did, despite the departure of one of the showrunners post-Season 1. This episode review is spoiler-free, but will of course contain spoilers for Season 1. In this episode, Rhaenyra mourns her son's death. Wishing to strike back, Daemon sneaks into King's Landing and bribes a rat catcher and a guard to kill Aemond. Meanwhile, Alicent carries on a secret affair with Criston. I love the smaller scale nature of this show compared to Thrones. Of course, it still feels very expansive, but keeping it as a conflict between primarily 2 families makes it feel fresh. The production design is immaculate once again. The sets, the costumes, the CGI dragons look fantastic. It's all marvelous to behold, and truly sets the precedent for modern television once again. Why Disney isn't creating Star Wars shows on this level blows my mind. The stakes are high, and the world feels big. Emma Darcy is so full of emotion. She is great to watch. But as much as Rhaenyra is the protagonist and the one that we are given reason to root for, I find myself more interested in Alicent's storyline once again. Of course, Olivia Cooke is a fantastic actress, so that helps. If you haven't seen her in Bates Motel, then that's worth a watch. But I always just preferred the scheming and plotting of characters like Cersei and Littlefinger in King's Landing. It's always what I'm most drawn to in Game of Thrones, and this truly is a fully fledged Game of Thrones at this point. Otto Hightower continues to be as seedy as ever. Every side eye that Rhys Ifans displays as this character has so much depth behind it, he is fun to watch. Matt Smith didn't have much to chew on as Daemon in this episode, but he's just solid whenever on screen regardless. Those characters are all great, and the way this episode ended really has me pumped for what is coming next. It just does enough without going over the top. It gets your mind swelling on how the conflict will shift and expand, and without pushing things too far, truly feels like Game of Thrones. I love that the episode took its time and didn't attempt shocking moments that would prematurely develop the story to try to hook people back for a first episode of another season. The creators clearly have confidence in their story and characters, and because of that, so do I.